Airbnb host left me an unfair review and it cost them hundreds. My girlfriend and I were going to her friend's wedding about 3 hours away from home. We needed to bring her dog Max, so we booked this cute Airbnb that specifically said they allowed pets. We took off work early on Friday and got there around 4 in the afternoon. The place was perfect. Nice little house with a fenced yard, exactly what we needed for the weekend. About 30 minutes after we arrived, we're sitting on the porch with Max when this guy walks up the driveway. Turns out it's Dave, the owner. He seemed friendly enough at first. Hey, how's everything going? How's treating you well? We chatted for a few minutes about the wedding and how nice his place was. Then he glances at Max and goes, "Oh, I don't think you mentioned you were bringing a dog." My heart sank. I immediately felt terrible because I realized we had totally forgotten to check the pet box when we booked. It was an honest mistake, but I didn't want him thinking we were trying to scam him. "I'm so sorry," I said. "I'll say we completely forgot to mark that. We're happy to pay the pet fee right now." I pulled out my wallet and tried to hand him $25 on the spot, but Dave just waves it off. "Don't worry about it, man. I love dogs. Max looks like a good boy." He hung out for another few minutes, asked about the wedding, seemed super chill about everything. When he left, I thought we were all good. The wedding was amazing. We left Max at the house for like 3 hours during the ceremony and reception. He was perfectly fine, didn't chew anything or make any mess. When we packed up Sunday morning, my girlfriend and I decided to clean the place way better than the instructions asked for. We vacuumed everywhere, wiped down all the surfaces, even mopped the floors. We wanted to make sure Dave knew we appreciated him being cool about the dog thing. A few days later, Airbnb sent me the email asking for a review. I gave Dave 5 stars across the board and wrote about how great the house was and what a nice guy he seemed to be. Then I saw his review of me. It was brutal. He gave me 2 stars and wrote this long rant about how I didn't disclose bringing a dog, how dogs cause them so much extra work, and how guests shouldn't leave pets alone in rental properties. I was furious. We had literally talked about this face-to-face when he showed up. I offered to pay the fee and he refused. There was nothing on his listing about not leaving dogs alone, and he never mentioned it during our conversation. The whole thing felt like a total cheap shot, like he was trying to make me look like some terrible guest when we had handled everything perfectly fine in person. I messaged him directly and told him how unfair his review was, that we had offered to pay the fee and would have been happy to pay it, that there was nothing in his rules about not leaving dogs alone. He basically ignored me and stuck by his review. That's when my girlfriend pointed something out. "Wait, isn't it against Airbnb rules for hosts to just show up without warning?" I had no idea. I figured it was his property so he could check on it whenever he wanted, but she was right. I looked it up and hosts are supposed to give 24 hours notice before visiting their properties. Since Dave wanted to play dirty with his review, I decided to report him to Airbnb support. I told them exactly what happened, how he showed up unannounced about 30 minutes after we arrived, how we had a friendly conversation but he never asked us to leave or said there was a problem. Airbnb took it seriously. They forwarded my complaint to their security team and called me a few days later to ask more questions about the whole situation. A week later, I got an email that made my day. Airbnb had found Dave in violation of their host policies for the unannounced visit. As compensation, they refunded me 2/3 of our stay, $200 back in my account, all because Dave decided to leave me an unfair review instead of handling things like an adult. The best part? That bad review he left me got buried under all my good ones, but his $200 lesson probably stung for a while.